Now I also want to talk about the skills that could be needed for a UGC creator or could be expected by the brand as well, just so you know. Of course, skills can be gained over time and you don't need to have this entire checklist before you get started. The thing is with UGC, as with any other business, any other profession, is that you learn and you grow. But I still wanted to mention a few just for you to kind of have an understanding before getting started and just for you to have this very realistic view and expectations as well. So the first skill is content creation. So if you already noticed that you're enjoying taking videos, taking pictures, that your pictures, let's say, look very aesthetic, or that you actually love just generally filming things, it's a good sign that you could become either a content creator or a UGC creator as well. Then as well, what is usually needed is to be very good storyteller. Of course, this is not required for every single UGC creator. We're all special, we're all unique, and some UGC creators are simply faceless and filming the content basically with their hands and not showing their face at all. But a lot of times you need to record either a voiceover or you need to record yourself speaking to the camera, talking about the product, talking how to use the product, unpacking the video, making everything entertaining, making everything natural. So we want to hook people into watching our video, of course. We want to kind of present the story and make it seem flowing as well. We want to make people hooked still watching our video throughout till the end. That's basically our goal because we want a better engagement. We want people to be invested because that's business for us. So having those storytelling skills are also extremely important and make you a strong fit for UGC. Then another thing is basic editing skills. Of course, you don't need to be a professional, but if you've previously worked, let's say with Adobe, CapCut, any other editing tools that make you a strong fit once again, it's important to have some sort of basic editing skills because you're still gonna need to film and edit by yourself. The brand is not gonna do it for you usually. So you need to know how to do the basic. And I'm of course gonna show you everything, at least the main basic things that you need to know when editing a video. And of course, we're not gonna run through every single editing platform, but I'm gonna show you how to do everything on CapCut because CapCut is most commonly used across the creators currently. So I think it's the most important tool to currently master. Then another skill that is good to have is creativity, of course, because as I mentioned before, sometimes you get a script, you get an idea, you get everything told to you beforehand. So you don't need to think, you don't need to come up with any concepts, you don't need to come up with any ideas. You can simply just film based on the script and be done with it. But a lot of times brands are giving you that creative freedom. So of course you want to see, maybe you want to incorporate a trend, maybe you want to present a product in a very unique way in your own style. So of course having that creativity is extremely important because once again it increases chances of higher engagement, and that of course give us better chances of get this client returning to us to work on more projects as well. Then of course we also want to have very good communication skills. We want to be very transparent, we want to communicate very clearly because we want to have very clear expectations before we start working with a brand. We want to be able to clarify everything. We want to communicate the concepts and our ideas with a brand. We want to communicate the scripts with our brands. We want to have everything set before we get started. And I feel like if you don't have these basic communication skills, you may get yourself into some trouble because you may need to reshoot the same campaign, the same project multiple times. You may need to revise the video multiple times as well. And you don't want that. You don't want to work on the same project for literally days, hours, etc. So if it's possible, I would say clarifying everything before is extremely, extremely important. And then another thing, which is also kind of self-explanatory, is just time management. Time management is extremely important in every single profession, I would say. I'm not gonna surprise you that it's important here as well. And the reason why it is so important is because you're juggling multiple clients at the same time usually. So you need to submit the final product by this and this date. You need to revise it by this and this date. You're all the time working with kind of time frames and deadlines. So you need to have everything on point when it comes to that. And for me, at least, it helps to have everything scheduled in the calendar. I want to see the progress on everything. And I'm going to show you the tools that I also use to make everything more organized and easier for me to follow. And another thing that I also want to talk about is adaptability. And the reason why it is so important is because we're working in social media. Things change so quickly and they're super unpredictable all the time. So you kind of always need to have that adaptability and be flexible and be able to adjust if needed. And you just see it as well. A lot of times you come up with concepts, let's say for brands, right? Whenever you need to pitch them, and they don't always agree with your ideas. They don't always agree with your concepts, how you want to present everything, how you want to talk about the product or the service. And sometimes they want you to adjust everything. And that's, once again, is completely okay and completely normal. Not everybody is gonna like what we have to tell, how we like to tell it. And the brand is paying for your services. So of course we want to keep them happy and fully satisfied with the final product. So I feel like even though it really humbles you once you get this constructive feedback, it can also be a learning curve. And it can also teach you that flexibility and adaptability is extremely important in this field. And the last thing that I also wanted to touch on is having this consistency and persistency, I would say. Because once you're going to start working as a UGC creator and you're going to be reaching out to these potential clients, you're going to see that sometimes you may reach out to 100 brands, let's say, and you're not going to get a single offer. And I know that it could be super discouraging. It could be super demotivating for you to continue, but that's the reality of it. Not every brand is going to be okay working with you. Not every brand is going to want that, but you need to continue and show up. And you're definitely going to find the brands that want to work with you, that are excited for that. You just need to continue working on it and you just need to constantly show up. You can't just send, let's say, 50 emails and be done with it. You have to come back the next week and send 50 more too. So I feel like if you're easily demotivated, maybe this is not an ideal path for you, or maybe you need to work on it a little bit further before you start UGC journey. And I don't want to demotivate you at all. There are success stories. I also got several deals from the brands, but I'm not gonna lie to you and say that everything is always easy, because it's not. And once again, I want to make this course a safe place and I want to tell you how the things are. So even though it is really rewarding to be working with, let's say, bigger brands, well-known brands, it also takes a while to get these customers. It's also not as easy as social media perhaps make it look like. So as with any other profession, you need to work hard, you need to keep showing up, you need to be consistent to be successful in this field too.